Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and the guys are all here today. Hello. I'm gonna save you. Hello, Ahmed Gordon. How are you?
Hi, hi, Sybil.
How you
How you
doing?
doing? I'm
I'm
doing all
good.
right. I'm good. I'm good.
You
Thank you.
good?
Thank you for having me. I'm
No,
excellent.
thank you. No, thank you for coming. How are you? How are you, Cameron?
Sybil, it is Tuesday, and it has already been a very exciting news week. So I'm excited to get into it today.
Okay. All right. And Damon, an exciting week for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's a fantastic week. A lot of things to talk about for me this weekend when I perform. So I'm glad to be here today.
Well, I hope that you will use us as your early sounding boards for the weekend coming and talk about those things that are going on.
Yep.
How are things where you guys are? I know the weather has still been relatively mild here. How are things where you guys are?
Weather's been pretty good. This 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 week it's been nice and sunny, very warm, like kind of like low to mid 40s. Supposed to be some rain later on in this week, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and it's supposed to go up as high as 57 degrees in
Time to go to 57th
Houston.
Street Beach. Okay, that's what that
Ooh,
means.
Yeah,
come
it may
on now.
rain, but it won't snow. That's all we care about.
Well, that may be coming. And Med, how are you?
Yeah, a lot of rain, a whole lot of rain here in Atlanta. But it's better than ice. It's better
Right.
than too cold. We were able to go to the park this weekend, so yeah, we had a good time, and yeah, 50s.
And
Good.
it's better than California. Have y'all been watching
Yeah,
that?
state of
Yeah.
emergency, man. Yeah.
I talked to my cousin who lives in Orange County the other day, and
Mhm.
she's like, they just got their house, just got the roof repaired. They're still waiting on furniture, and now here comes more rain. And it's another one of those situations that they got. I think it was almost 12 inches of rain on the campus of UCLA.
Wow.
Hmm.
It
It
is
Yeah.
never
unbelievable.
rains,
But they shouldn't
lies.
complain because summer will come around and they'll be worried about brush fires. So at
Well,
least,
that's the other thing, yeah. But the ground is so wet, it's not absorbing all of the rain at the speed at which it's coming down, and so a lot of mudslides and things like that. But it's
Yes.
but it's moving, and it's moving our way. So that's what I said. Just be careful because right now it was in the 60s when I was outside today, and it was absolutely lovely. And we too have had a good amount of rain, but nothing really that bad. And but it's this climate change thing is real.
but
And
it's good. You have some great relatives. Clearly, a lot of smart people in your family because at least they did the roof first. Most Negroes would have bought the furniture and then been sitting there on the wet couch.
yeah, they're smart. They're smart. Let me tell you how smart they are. And you're absolutely right. They did things in the proper order. And I'm so excited about this. My cousins, their son just got his first job, graduated from Long Beach State this spring, and he is officially a rocket scientist.
There
That's
you go.
dope.
Is that
Wow.
cool? I
Time
am
to
so
make all the
excited.
rocket science
I
jokes.
thought this kid would just be one that walking around holding his head all the time from migraines, but he actually is a rocket scientist. I'm like, Karen, what a way to go. And so he is he's got one of them good jobs
Very good job.
and right and
Yeah, there's some
working.
great stuff happening in space right now.
Yeah, and so he's very excited and he's a rocket scientist. Oh,
And he wins every argument. It's like, whatever y'all talking about, it's not rocket science.
trust me.
I don't care
Trust
what
me.
you're talking about.
I
I
know
know.
rocket science.
Take it from me. It's not rocket science.
Okay, okay. I'm going to share that with them, Damon.
Yes, you should
Absolutely.
get that. You should get a tattoo. It's
Yeah.
not rocket science.
Ask me how I
Just like
know.
across the
Ask
knuckles.
me how I know.
Right? Yeah, it's not. Cameron said, "Put it across his knuckles." It's not rocket
Right.
science.
Let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. That is our Monday through Friday newsletter, in which we talk about issues and items that are of interest to the Black reading public. And so, we would like for you to subscribe if you want to be a part of the What You Need to Know news crew. We'd love to have you. It's absolutely free. Please go to sybilwilkes.com, give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday. And here it is young Cameron's opportunity to talk about his story, which is the latest on the effort to provide reparations in California.
Yes, or in the words of Willie Wilson, reparations. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about today. So we've been covering this for quite some time. 2 years ago, California put together like a reparations task force, and this was community driven. So a lot of community leaders organized with legislators to study like the extent of the effect of slavery in the entire state of California. And on Black History Month, February 1st, lawmakers officially debuted what they believe reparations would look like. And it's got everything in there. It's got housing reform. It's got, reform against the prison system. It's got education policy reform. The only thing that it is missing is direct payouts and direct land grants. So community residents who first convened the reparations task force are feeling a little confused, to say the least, betrayed, to say the worst, at what they felt reparations truly was. And so you sent me that article from the Honorable Reverend Amos, who had declared that reparations is about two things. It's about money and it's about land. When you do a bunch of research for 2 years and roll out this extensive policy reform plan, is that reparations or is that just policy reform? So in my opinion, California is taking a very conservative approach to reparations, especially after the study. They had came out with these massive figures saying that every Californian was essentially owed $127 million, right? And so people in California were like, yeah, we finna get paid. And then later on, they're like, no, you're not. So here we are.
Reverend Amos Brown, we saw him the other night. He was preaching at the installation of Dr. Freddie Haynes, who's now the national president of well, it used to be Operation Push, but Operation Breadbasket, I mean, but it is now Push, and taking over for Reverend Jackson. And Reverend Amos was his minister growing up, and he led a number of things. He is a longtime civil rights leader in California, and especially in Northern California. And he was one that led boycotts against the schools. Because they were not treating their Black students properly and equally. And so he has a long history. And I just thought it was very interesting that he was playing a part in this. And then I don't know if they really, Cameron, gave him all of the respect that he's due in that they talked about everything but what he talked about.
Yeah, and like he was like the vice chair of like the reparations committee. So for California lawmakers to roll out these massive bills about institution reform, from my perspective, when you talk about institution reform, you're throwing a lot of money at a bunch of institutions that will really only enrich the people who are above those institutions.
Who are running the institutions.
Yeah. So this is and the thing is like Black Californians have a supermajority across the whole state. So why they would almost like betray their electorate like that is a little confusing to me.
And the other thing I was thinking about, if it's not about land, what about, groundbreaking cases like Bruce's Beach, That was a situation where a family owned this beachfront property and it was taken away by the county, calling it, eminent domain. And
Right.
so they had to go to court and fight for this. Why should you have to fight for something that the government took away from you and put out all kinds of money? As it turns out, they took a deal and returned they got the land and then they returned it to the county, which is now the site of like a what is a life-saving beach facility for
Yeah.
people to learn how to save lives in the oceans and what have you. So it seems kind of ridiculous that they aren't, and especially when you think about Black people historically in California really owning now or should have owned really valuable property.
Yeah, and like so the argument from lawmakers is that reparations is not a gift. Reparations are not handouts. Like direct cash payments won't solve anything. And Med, you have brought on the guest from Evanston who had
Yeah,
actually found out a way to not only do institutional reform, but also cut people some checks. And I
Yeah.
think we all can agree to like the poor Black families in California, a $50,000 check would solve quite a bit of their problems. And the fact that like they can't figure out how to cut every Black Californian who's a descendant of slavery, $50,000. I mean, come
and you
on.
can't say, "Oh, they're just going to waste it." Don't make that
Right.
decision for them. Give them the money if that is, to be a determining factor of or one of the objects that they're going to receive in this, and because you're not giving us 40 acres and a mule. Don't
Right.
tell us what,
Mhm.
at least let's make the gesture and let them decide what they're going to do with their money. Go to
Absolutely.
Especially
Vegas.
And
when,
it's to the benefit of whomever is the powers that be, because we know the black dollar doesn't stay in the Black community long anyway. So it'll
nope.
come right back. So it won't even hurt them, to be honest. And it'll enhance and enrich the lives of people who are struggling and going through it if it was done properly.
Right, right. Good job, Karen. I hope that you will continue following this as you have and bring us more updates on this. And speaking of money in the Black community, Med, you had a story today that we did about the benefit of Black businesses and how they are thriving in Atlanta.
Yeah, man. It seems like you know, due to the pandemic, that the businesses that were hurt the most were small Black owned businesses.
Hmm.
Well, here in Atlanta, the small Black owned businesses have come back stronger than ever, and we did on the Black Information Network. We had found out that it's like it's just like this is like the biggest when it comes to the rise of the small Black business. This is like
Hmm.
the biggest increase we've seen ever.
Yeah,
And
like
so
25%.
yep, and so it's like it's basically an economic boom, and
Yeah,
that is it's amazing. And it's like, okay, so living here in Atlanta, it's always interesting because it's like you have a whole bunch of entrepreneurs. They
right.
always talk about, when it comes to like just everybody's an entrepreneur. The joke here in Atlanta is, I don't understand, why there's traffic all the time, because no one's going to work. They're just driving around being
Mhm.
entrepreneurs because no one actually has a job down here in Atlanta, because they all running their own kind of business. And it really is like that here. When you, especially young entrepreneurs, it's cracking down here, honestly, when it comes to these small business owners. And it's kind of it's a cool thing to see. And I know when we like they kind of call Atlanta like the Black Mecca right now because of
Mhm.
everything that's going on down here, Tyler Perry and jobs and things like that. And the Black dollar seems to be worth a little bit more down here as well. So it's just kind of all coming together that, even though we were hurt the most during the pandemic in Atlanta, the bounce back is kind of epic right now.
It's real. It's real. Check this out. Coy Malone had a story in the social justice column about a South Carolina couple has been accused of burning a cross to harass their Black neighbors. They've been declared a public nuisance and have had to move and may have to move out of their home. In the petition filing, uh, the solicitor requested that 27-year-old Alexia Hartnett and 28-year-old Warden Butler leave their Conway, South Carolina home for a year due to the allegations against them. This involves retired resident Sean and Monica Williams. They've been open about their traumatic experience, saying that they've been subjected to threats and racial slurs. And last Thanksgiving weekend, they were away and they claimed that Hartnett and Butler placed a burning cross near their home. And they say that they have been leading the way in threats and other harmful things that they've said and done to the family, to the retired couple. And so they're saying, we just can't go back and think this is going to be over with, because they have been summoned before and they continue to do the things. And so they're asking that they be removed from the property for a year so they can resume living without the specter, the shadow of this family over their shoulders.
Or perhaps have the feds investigate them for like ties to the Klan. I mean, whose first mind is to think of burning a cross?
Well,
have them investigated.
Well, how about you take some of this money that you're spending in court and move this family?
Yeah.
If you want to, you buy my house and you move us, because it just seems ridiculous that, it's like, oh, and we got to get everything done before they come back. And who's to say they won't send their representatives to create hell for this family? I don't know.
It's just crazy when there's like a paper trail, and they keep on getting caught, keep putting in jail, and they keep getting out. Yeah. And it's just like there's no safety for us. There's no safety for the black couple whatsoever, because they're like, well, we know that we can terrorize you. We'll get a slap on the wrist and we'll be back at it again.
Right.
But that's mental unstableness. Okay.
Yeah.
They need to go to a psychiatric ward, this couple, because they're young couple. They're like 27 years old.
27,
and
28
like,
years old.
They need to be put somewhere. And it may not be jail, but they need to go somewhere, because if you continue to do this and you keep going to jail and you continue, like, don't you have lives? These black people can't be that annoying. They can't be incensing you that much to do this over and over and over again.
And it's
clearly these are nice and passive black people that don't have any thug cousins, because I would just call my cousins and we would be waiting on them to come with the cross, and they would be buried right there by it, because you can't just keep intimidating auntie and them like that, man. We would be over there. So it's messed up that it even comes to that, and that you don't have comfort and peace in your home. That's crazy.
That is bananas. And it seems to be a trend where you have people who are just, saying, we don't need any stinking rules. We don't need any judgments handed down against us. We don't have to follow that.
Well, Sybil, they're making these exclusively conservative communities now, like across the US. There are these like pocket exclusive conservative places that you have to like apply for and like interview for. Literally like tribal echo chambers like around the country. Very like terrifying stuff.
Well, I want to move where Damon's cousins are, because that would be the kind of policing that I'm all in favor of. The last thing I do want to mention in the segment that we have in the newsletter is a Black History Month tribute from our own CPA to the stars, Katrina Kraft. And she salutes, of all people, Black accountants, and the first Black accountants, and saying, how valuable they are to our community. And we salute her for being valuable to us in our newsletter. So thanks, Katrina Kraft. And we are having Black History Month salutes all over the place in our newsletter, on our audio portions as well. So thank you for and thank you for being a part of our Black History celebration. We appreciate that.
Yes, and as people, if you're just coming on for the first time, I'm Black History 365. This is up every day,
baby.
All day, every day. All right. So if you'd like to subscribe to our newsletter, we'd love to have you. Please go to SybilWilkes.com. It won't cost you a cent, a dime, a scintilla. just give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. So I've had a number of text conversations and a number of phone calls and group conversations about the Grammy Awards. So and I bring it to you guys, and I bring it to 3 Black men in our What's Really Going On segment.
Is
Now,
Killer
when
Mike still in jail?
No, not Killer Mike. This is not
Oh,
not.
okay.
We do
He
wish
never
him good
went.
luck.
He never went
He
this weekend.
just an overzealous security guard. But this is about Jay-Z calling out the Recording Academy snubs against his wife Beyonce during the Grammys, and the speech in which he was receiving an award in the name of Dr. Dre, but took the time during the award acceptance to talk about the lack of recognition that Black artists have endured at the award show. He called out the organization that determines who gets what when it comes to Album of the Year on time, or was this speech on time, or was it 2 years too late? And I love the idea. I love that he called them out, and I love that he was defending his woman. And I'm just wondering how you guys felt about it, and I'm hoping that you all seen it, because it has generated a lot of conversation. People like, well, why can't she get up there and say it? Why did she have to have send her husband up there to defend her? And I don't know who said that.
I promise you, Beyonce
said,
did not send him up there to do that.
exactly.
You can see it on her face.
Exactly.
She did not send him up there to do that.
I mean,
she
was
had
like,
the face of Negro, please sit down.
And bring my child with you.
Blue Ivy just like.
It was sort of like when Kanye said George Bush doesn't care about Black people, and Michael Myers was like,
man, Blue Ivy up there like, okay, Dad, anytime you want to wrap this up.
Right. And you can see her mama giving the wrap it up sign out there in the audience.
Come on.
But to his credit, though, there's a statement: the most least offended person on earth is the Black woman. So he stood up for his Black woman. And secondly, the irony is the better album that she had, which probably should have won Album of the Year, was Lemonade, which was the one about his behind being bogus. So of course, for him to defend that album was really interesting. But my whole situation, before I let you all, I concede, was the Killer Mike thing. Killer Mike getting arrested.
Hold on Killer Mike, because I really want to stay with this, and I promise you, it's in my notes to talk about Killer Mike. But was he? Let me ask you this: was he biting the hand that was awarding him by choosing this occasion? Was it the right time, the right place to make this and come out swinging against the Academy? And
what other time is there to do it?
What better time? And people like Whoopi are defending the Academy and saying you just don't understand how these decisions are made. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good idea. We may not know exactly who's making the decisions, who's doing the voting, but it's blatantly clear that Black women are being ignored for this particular award. Only 3 Black women have won Album of the Year.
That's crazy.
One was Natalie Cole. One was Whitney Houston and Lauryn Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all viable. Those are all reasonable and acceptable winners, right? But and I can give you the rundown on it, but it just, and I know Stephen Hill will say something differently tomorrow, and because he's very conservative that way and all about the music industry. But
I think he's on the board, ain't he? Doesn't he have a vote?
I don't know. I don't know.
If Aretha Franklin never won that award, then we got a problem.
Right.
That's
true too.
No,
that's true too. Yeah, I mean, when it's almost like when you bring up like the Emmys and that like Living Single and all them never even got nominated. It's like I'm like, wait, what? And like you running that down, I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy when you especially think about the Motown era and everything like that. Like how Supremes, Diana Ross, never. Wow, okay. So I do know this.
25 years since a Black woman has won.
Yeah, and I understand the argument about like Black creatives, seeking that gratification from the establishment, but I don't think that really applies here when you look at Taylor Swift.
And I don't want to
4
go
times.
Kanye and say, give me that award, Taylor. You don't deserve this. I thought
No,
that was very disrespectful. But I thought that what he did was extremely proper and respectful in light of the occasion.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you have those seconds to speak. You can say theoretically,
whatever you
can
want.
say whatever it is you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
do it.
so
Also,
working in the
Jay-Z's kind of
gospel
like
industry
independent
as
now.
well. Yeah, working in the gospel industry as long as I did, there was
Mhm.
a running joke. If Kirk Franklin is nominated, he's gonna win.
Right.
And when we watched every single time that I was working in the gospel industry for the 8 years, 9, 10 years that I was in there, every time he got nominated, he won. And it's one of those things where I felt like, because we were always joking about it, where somebody came to us and told us, look, this is how it works. There's a room full of, people who are kind of in a room to vote for this kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
When it comes to those smaller awards that they're not familiar with and they never listen to the music, none of that, they're looking for a name.
A name they
And the
recognize.
name that they recognize is usually the name that they're going to vote for. That's how, cause I was like, Kirk does not lose, to the point where artists that was attached to him, because they saw his name, they won recently gospel, awards and everything like that. So, once I figured that out, that's when I knew that, look, guys, it's a toss. It's who represents you. This is why Matthew Knowles was saying it's up to her label,
Record company,
because
yeah.
these labels, their label heads are in these meetings. Her label is supposed to fight for her to get those awards. So if you have, and again, I'm going back to gospel because this is just how it was explained to me. There's certain people that we knew that were very powerful entities within the gospel community that were in those meetings voting for those things. And then when you see who won and you see the label they're part of, you see the trend.
Then you go.
So it's
okay.
like, don't just watch the names who win, look at the labels that they're attached to and see if there's a correlation. That's the power play. Just like you hear about labels buying albums to boost sales and things like that. The labels are all intertwined into all of these award shows and things of that. Outside of the People's Choice Award, where it's actually voting that matters,
So
it's these labels and organizations that are making these decisions and getting these awards to the people who want. So that's why Matthew Knowles was like, look at her label. Why hasn't her label done anything to get her album of the year? It should have been done by
And I'm
now.
sure he and Jay-Z have had this discussion. I'm sure they've
Mhm.
had that discussion, but it does warrant. I mean, I did a story a couple Fridays ago, just a lighter story for a Friday, about the Black people that were nominated for Academy Awards. And the bigger question was not the Black men who are nominated in the leading actor category or the supporting actor category, and how they're going to be bumping up against each other, and some are first timers and some not. But the question, how in the world could these two women that brought Barbie to the screen not be nominated? These two white women, that was the big, oh my gosh, the director and the producer and the star of the movie. They got their nominations, but they didn't get the nominations that they thought. And when we say it, it's like, oh, you just don't understand the system.
Right.
You just
Yes,
don't appreciate, and these other people are just as worthy as ABC.
Yeah. Okay, but like it's like I said, it's Hollywood. It's a weird system. It's a very weird system.
And it doesn't matter, man, how many people of color they're putting into the academy. It's going to stay the same. Like you
But
said.
I promise you this. Let Beyonce drop an album this fall or something like that. Let her drop an album. It's going to win album of the year. They like to course correct as quickly as possible.
Well, and they're going to have to go, they go, what else you got? Give us your greatest hits.
I'm telling you, she could drop an album tomorrow of her humming. It's going to win album of the year.
And Blue Ivy, what you got coming up? Blue Ivy, and what about the babies? What about them? What do they have?
Right, put the babies on there. It's going to win.
So she was nominated, as Damon mentioned, for Lemonade, Renaissance, Beyonce, and I Am Sasha Fierce. No Black woman, as I said, has been nominated, has not earned that award, I should say, in 25 years. And only 3 Black women have been awarded Album of the Year since it was introduced in 1959. And I mentioned those 3. TLC was nominated. in 2000, India Arie 2002, Missy Elliott 04, Alicia Keys 05, Mariah Carey 06, Beyonce 10, 15, 17, and 23, Rihanna in 2012, Brittany Howard with the group Alabama Shakes in 2016, Janelle Monáe for Twice 2019 and 24, Her 19, 20, and 22, Cardi B in 19, Lizzo in 23. And I was really surprised to see Lizzo there the other night after all these things with the young women that
And
are
she's still in the
doing
news
her.
with that too. Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
crazy stuff.
Janae Aiko 21, Doja Cat 22, Mary J in 23, and SZA this year in 24. And Taylor Swift went home with it.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Well, at some point, we just have to stop giving so much
Creed and so much weight. Yeah.
credence to the trophies. You're not in the game for the trophy. Everybody wants to be acknowledged, but if you can make a living and your people support you and your fans keep you going, then that's what it really should be about, boiled down to, and not be disappointed. Of course, you'll take the acknowledgement, but are you really doing it for the trophies? I mean, Beyonce has the most.
She's got them. She's got a
anybody.
a room made for her
But
trophies,
it's like
right?
this one award, it's like this one award. She deserves this one award. It's Miley Cyrus was doing that all night. Every single time she won one. Guys, this is not important. I like having it, but it's not important.
Right.
Don't let this, determine who you are. I'll take this home with me though.
Yeah.
Well, only winners say that too.
Right.
Oh yes, that is also true.
Right.
And just like my confusion comes into play, whereas like how do the awards create more monetary value for the label? Is that when the labels are going to like private investors, are they saying, oh, we create a million bajillion Grammy winning artists, give us your money? Is that what that comes into play, Ahmed, or what?
I think it's a trophy for them too. You know what I'm saying? It's a trophy for them. It's a feather in the cap, but also for these artists, it brings in more attention to them, which brings in more money for them.
More
you know what I'm saying? So the performances, the more downloads and everything. So because please believe me, the album sales and everything like that, the artists don't make no money off of that. The labels do. So everything that is promoting the album, promoting the artist, the labels making the most money off of. So yes, please promote our artists, and them winning, SZA winning and performing. That's all promotion for the label, so they can get their money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the nomination does that. In fact, so do the performances. So it's a win-win if you get nominated, of that, as they say. But if you, for instance, Tracy Chapman just topped the charts on iTunes.
Come on.
Right. Yeah.
With her old song because of that performance. So, you make it to the big dance, everybody's not going to win. So,
That was my favorite moment, by the way. That was dope.
Mine too. I really enjoyed that with Luke Combs. Yeah.
Luke Combs was fanning out up there.
He was fangirling. He really was.
He was up there. He's like, Tracy right there. Look, you see Tracy? Like she was singing, he was singing.
And she was like, who would have thought, this little black girl would be, at the top of the country music charts. It was
amazing.
It was a really cool moment. I love the fact that Jay-Z was speaking out for his woman, and that's just me. I would love to know that somebody had my back like that the way that he did, and chose this. He got a really sweet trophy. Did you see the black on black gramophone?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
that was really sweet. And so
and he defended his woman, and no comedian got slapped.
Okay.
So, that's some
absolutely right.
Black men defending their women on the award shows, it can go left.
Okay.
All right.
I was saying, all right.
Or both. Bam. Let's move to trending. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your joining me in that conversation. First of all, I want to wish a happy birthday to our friend and listener and viewer, Barbara Ferguson. Today is her birthday, and bon voyage. She's headed off to Australia in a couple of days. So a once in a lifetime journey, and wish you only great times in that adventure. Don't forget to get some Vegemite. I'm kidding.
I heard the thing's nasty. Never had it,
It
but
is.
ooh.
It is really nasty. It is really nasty. Damon, where are you going to be performing your comedy brilliance?
Thursday here in Chicago at the Timeout. I have a February residency down at Timeout Market for all Thursdays in February. And then this weekend, the Cleveland Funny Bone, which has been the Improv for years, but they changed the name. So I'm at the Cleveland Funny Bone Improv Friday and Saturday.
And where is Time Out?
Timeout is in Fulton Market,
Oh, okay.
in that newly developed area. It's a really nice, bustling pocket space, and it's only 75 people allowed. It's really intimate. We have a great time. It's on the rooftop bar, and like I say, only through February we'll be doing that on Thursdays.
That's really cool. Very
Thank
cool. And anybody at Riddles this weekend?
Yes, Mike Bonner and comedian Stick. Mike Bonner from Detroit, legendary Def Jam comedian from back in the day. And comedian Stick, who is super hilarious. So Riddles is always there every weekend, whether I'm there or not. Please support it if you're home.
Absolutely, absolutely. Get well wishes, and this and this is the angle that I took with Killer Mike and his wife Shan's son, Michael Ponyboy Render. The 21-year-old underwent a successful kidney transplant, and Monday morning, after waiting 3 years for a suitable kidney, and his son was just very grateful, and his father was very grateful for having seen his son and knowing what the life that he had led on the list, and how he had been moved to the top of the list when one became available and the match was proper. And I know people who have gone through this, and their families are just as involved as they are until they get to the table, right? But it is a wait and see situation. And what led to all the attention to Killer Mike and the citizens arrest that happened as a result of him blowing past a security guard and not showing a ticket, according to the news story. And this female security guard ran and tried to go around him to stop, and he kind of just blew past her, and she got hurt, so she had to show that he hurt her and all of that, which seems kind of ridiculous. But where are the people who were supposed to be there, with the clipboards and checking people's names off and what have you?
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
One advantage of maybe winning a Grammy is your son gets taken to the top of the list. It's like, oh, it's Killer Mike, 3-time Grammy nominated. But that whole thing, I think it was blown out of proportion, of course. But until it was a mystery of what had really happened and why he was arrested. And my thought was maybe the police were like, he has 3 trophies. How the hell did Killer Mike get 3 Grammys and they arrested him because they thought he stole them? Because who knows Killer Mike's new music? I know I certainly don't. I definitely don't think he has the top 3 trophies awarded.
He swept the
songs
category.
Right now.
Yeah.
I can say this. Down, again, being in Atlanta, people have been really hyped about this. I know, if you follow like the Breakfast Club and, Charlamagne the God, like he called it, you know what I'm saying? That like, it was actually Damon for real was a very good album. Like I listened to the album. I'm like, well, look at that. I didn't even, because to be honest, no, to be honest, like Killer Mike has been almost associated so much with like social justice over the last few years, right, that people really forgot that man rapped. Like he has a Grammy, but that was with Outkast, like, being part of Outkast's album and a single and things like that. So he's won a Grammy in that way. He's always been part of songs. He's always dropped nice bars on other people's things. But for him to have a body of work by himself and did this, no one expected it. But when I heard the album, I'm like, oh, okay. All right, Killer Mike. Yeah. I never knew. I never knew.
I'm not surprised
that he won, especially the competition.
I hadn't listened to Killer Mike since like Run the Jewels and before. So when I had heard that he had dropped an album, I'm like, is he rapping about like investment banking and like community development? No, I was serious. But apparently he like went back to his roots and like killed some bars. So I might give it a listen.
All jokes aside, I haven't listened and I intend to, but it just seemed out the blue. It just seemed like it came out of left that Mike left with 3 trophies, and that's beautiful. It's a great story, especially since he's so outspoken for social justice and things of that nature. So, congratulations to him. But he's gonna be a part of this joke this weekend, that's for sure.
He's gonna catch this joke.
Hey,
You don't catch some of this. Okay.
Yeah.
A jury has found a Michigan mother guilty of involuntary manslaughter for failing to stop her son from carrying out a deadly school shooting. Jennifer Crumley is the first parent in the United States convicted of manslaughter over a mass shooting carried out by her child, or his or her child. Prosecutors accused her of being negligent in allowing her teenage son to have a gun and ignore the warning signs that were there, that everybody saw except for her. Ethan Crumley is now 17, is serving life in prison for killing 4 classmates at the Oxford High School in Michigan in November 2021. 7 other people were also injured in the shooting. Her husband is awaiting trial on the same charges, and he has pleaded not guilty. He might want to change that now. I'm not sure how that will work out for him. She faces up to 15 years in prison for each conviction of involuntary manslaughter, meaning if sentenced to serve the terms consecutively, she could spend 60 years in prison, and they announced her sentencing would be scheduled for April 9th.
Man, I've been talking with people about this like all day. And if you look at the facts of the case, it was never a matter of whether or not she was going to get convicted. It was a matter of whether or not she was going to get indicted.
Right.
Knowing that she got tried, yeah, I mean, obviously open and shut, she was going to get convicted easily. What people that I'm talking to are confused about is like why white people would sacrifice one of their own with regards to gun ownership. And that's because people have been looking for someone to blame in mass shootings for a very long time.
And they finally
and this gives like everyone who has been watching this some sort of catharsis. And we forget that like the white establishment will sacrifice one of their own in a heartbeat to absolve themselves of any sort of corruption or anything.
Including the gun industry.
Right, exactly. Including the gun industry. And this is the last thing that I will say is that if white America keeps like stabbing these like poor dumb white people in the back, Donald Trump will win in 2024. Absolutely.
Wait, say that again. You said
if white America keeps stabbing these poor dumb white people in the back, Donald Trump will win in 2024 because they're really mad. They think that the government is like betraying them. And they're getting very upset.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens after this judgment that was handed down today about Donald Trump and saying that he has no immunity from all of this, and these parents obviously no immunity from anything as well. I wonder if they're going to revisit some of the cases, because in some cases the teenagers killed themselves or they were killed in the school shootings. And in other cases, like the example that I wondered about is the little black boy that got his mother's gun, took it to school, and shot his kindergarten teacher. And so I know she's already been tried, but and I know there's double jeopardy, but to find a way to make her even more responsible because she is paying the price for this. But not to the extent, because the teacher was wounded, but not mortally wounded. And so I'm just wondering how this is going to affect and how it's going to play out for Black folks whose children are killing people, elsewhere, not necessarily in the classroom.
Right. Or like breaking into cars with their father's, toolbox or something,
whatever they use. Yeah.
Right.
But this kid was a sick child. And the fact that the mother's like, look, you're going to get us in trouble. You're okay. You're good. Right. And he's like, I hear voices. I hear things in my head, and you're not. And he's like, I got to go back to work. You go back to class. We'll take care of this later. That's a kind of neglect that, you have to take responsibility for that.
Yep. Put them in the padded room. Yep.
Oh, check out this.
I'm serious.
Check this out. You guys know the name Yusef Salaam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the Central Park Five, now the exonerated five, they were teenagers when they were convicted in the 1989 rape of a jogger in Central Park. He is a newly elected New York City Council member. He was driving downtown to dinner with his family, his wife, and four children when the flashing lights of a police car appeared behind him. He pulled
Yes,
over.
wow.
An officer walked over to the car, asking him to roll down the tinted windows. When the officer reached the driver's side, apparently Mr. Salam identified himself and as a city councilman. And he asked the councilman, was he working? And he said yes, and asked why he was stopped. The officer did not answer, but sent him on his way. He said, take care, sir. And the stop soon prompted outrage from Salam, who represents Harlem and recently named the chair of the council's Public Safety Committee. His allies are saying that it demonstrated the importance of police transparency when stopping New Yorkers. And others said it was an example of a city council members invoking his position to try to get out of a ticket. So you can see how this is working, both sides of it. The
Yeah.
police quickly released the body camera footage as well as a statement saying that he had been stopped because his car had illegally tinted windows and that it had a Georgia license plate. And even the mayor, a former policeman, defended the cops for a picture perfect example of a professional and courteous police response. So they took it even further, and now they have they changed the rules that the officers are required to,
Right.
because up until now it had not been, they were
Yes.
not required to give a reason for stopping. But they said that now they're going to have to stop, give the body camera footage. They're going to have to give a reason for the stop and just follow through the procedures. And this was a new rule. And
They also have to
mayor,
like track the race of like
they,
everyone
they
they
have
stop
to
now.
identify the sex and the race, as well as an approximate age, as well as the reason for the stop.
They're gonna start calling them Officer Clipboard in a second. You know,
And that's
boom,
what they're
boom,
saying. You know,
boom.
we don't have time. We got bad guys out there. Well, if you didn't have time to stop a man, if you had time to stop a man for tinted windows, then you've got time to follow the procedure, right? So
I
I'm
mean,
asking three black men who have, I'm assuming, been stopped at some point or another.
Yes. Yes.
for all sort of reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Your
Yeah.
thoughts
Feeling
about
never
this?
gets old.
Yeah. Your thoughts about this as you're sitting there with your hands on the steering wheel, your identification
worst
here
feeling.
and all of that. And how do you think he felt with his wife and his children, and he wasn't pulled out of the car, he wasn't beaten or anything like this, but certainly to him it was a humiliating experience. How do you
Look,
explain that to your children?
the one there's certain people that is PTSD.
Hmm.
That's the guy. Councilman Salam,
Yeah, for sure.
he's going to. I don't care if I see the video and it looked like it was nothing to him. He can say whatever the heck I felt like this. Yes, you did, sir. I'm not going to argue with the man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
After what he's been through with police, with the city of New York. Oh, no. I'm going to give him, his feelings are valid in however he wants to put them. When it comes to the tinted windows, I've been, I've seen people getting pulled over for tinted windows before. License plate. I've been pulled over for license plates. I've been pulled over in Chicago, and the guy said nice rims, and he left me. I was in a nice little neighborhood. He said nice rims, and the other cop came around. Hey, how much did he go for? I'm like, what's going on? You lost? Kind of. And he's like, I'm like, where you going? I'm going to do Sable. He's like, oh, okay. You have a nice day. And I'm just like,
That's
wow.
true.
Driving while black. That's amazing. That's so blatant. But I've always, like, ever since we interviewed on the radio this cop, I've always since then, hands on the wheel, roll down the windows. If it's nighttime, turn the lights inside of my car. Boom, every single time. And because like I tell people all the time, it is our job as citizens to make the police officers feel as safe and protected as possible.
Wow.
Yeah, so they don't reach for that.
Right.
You gotta make them feel safe and comfortable.
And
Gotta make
the
them feel safe.
taser for a gun. Damon?
Yeah, on all of my police stops, just as Ahmed said, I always, first things first for your young people, turn on that interior light. Secondly, make your hands as completely visible and motionless as possible, and then have a pleasant demeanor. That goes a long way. It may seem like you're selling out, but you cannot be confrontational
No
because
such thing.
however you make that police officer feel, they have the discretion to make your life miserable. So why not go ahead
Or end it.
and you put the grin on and let it ride. Especially if you bogus, if you know your plate's bad, if you know your license are bad, if anything is out of pocket. I've been pulled over though for a couple of different reasons. Once I was pulled over because I used to drink Mr. Pure orange juice a lot all day. So the police pulled me over.
Oh
They
no.
pulled me over and they had a bet to see if it was spiked or not. And so I told him it's just pure orange juice. And he like, I told you, and they exchanged, they had a bet going to see if it, and he said, you stay healthy, sir, and told me to go on about my way. One time I got pulled over, it was a trooper. I'm on the highway. And, when you get that trooper on you as a black man, you're like, so you try to, monitor your speed. You try to keep, yourself looking unthreatening. So they pulled me over and it comes out, they recognized me and they was trying to make sure that was me,
Wow.
as a comedian. So I was like, whoo, I'm glad you didn't search me because I do have a gun and some weed. No. None of this legal. No. But no, it's just imperative, as Mayor said, upon yourselves, young black men, all black men, because I'm almost 60 and it still could happen, that you're not confrontational and you make yourself visible.
Looking 40 though, dog. Looking 40.
Okay. You look like you are Cameron's contemporary there.
Yeah.
Cameron,
Cameron, let me give you the last word on this.
Oh man, I mean, my mom's heart's probably skipping a beat right now because my interactions with police have been very dangerous. But
damn it, Cameron, what have you been doing?
We heard about your Grinnell days.
Oh yeah, geez. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But I try to, like, as Damon and Ahmed said, I try to humanize officers as much as possible. I don't go into formal, what if you pulled me over for? I just say, hey, officer, how's your day going? Oh, I'm just getting off work. I try to just keep it as conversational as possible. Because the whole thing is that officers are people too. They want to be treated like human beings, and in my experience, that's worked really well in my favor. Just talking to them like it's just like another day, another traffic stop, and then they go on about their day. It sucks, and it's very and it completely ruins your day. It completely ruins your day afterwards.
But that's the real. That's the real.
Hey man, I had one occasion on a New Year's Eve and I was in between two shows and I was scrambling. I was speeding, literally speeding, had no license on me at the time. And the cops said, well, why are you speeding? I told him I'm a comedian, I have a show. And he said, well, if you tell us a joke and it's funny, we'll let you go.
No.
So I was a 5 heartbeat. I literally had to tell a joke, but he was so goofy. I said, well, in order to do the joke that I have in mind, I need a microphone. So he handed me the big steel flashlight. I could have bopped him upside his head with it. This was Oak Lawn, and his sergeant pulled up like, hey, Sarge, he's a comedian, and we're going to make him do a joke, and if it's funny, but I was, hey,
how are you tonight?
I made it to both gigs, though.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna let that be our entertainment portion of the show tonight, and Damon Williams with the jazz hands and
man,
and making 2 Oak Lawn, Illinois cops laugh. That is it. And before we close this out, who do you guys have in the Super Bowl?
I'm going with the 49ers.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see Mahomes lose.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, Kansas City. All right.
I kind of want I want the 49ers to win because of the Shanahan McCaffrey, like the coach of the 49ers, Mike Shanahan, not Mike, but his father was the coach of the Denver Broncos when they won 2 chips. And on that team was Ed McCaffrey, whose son is on the 49ers, who's a star running back. So I kind of want to see that tie-in go. But I think the Chiefs going to win. I want the 49ers to win, but I think the Chiefs are just They just got it. I don't bet against Pat Mahomes no more. You don't even have receivers that can catch balls anymore, and he's still making this work. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, just don't put his daddy in for him. Cameron, who do you have?
I don't want to give any W to like any Swifties.
Kyle Shanahan, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm talking about his daddy.
Yeah, I wanted the Lions to go to the Super Bowl because I wanted the poor black man in Detroit who was strung out on DraftKings, who bet everything to win. That's what. Hey, and you know it's true though, right?
Right.
But that's why I wanted to win. Anyone but the Swifties at this point.
Anyone? Now they're the Kansas City Swifties now. Okay.
Let's be honest, Cameron. You wanted the Hennessy Bowl. You wanted Baltimore versus Detroit.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The Hen Bowl. Yeah.
With the halftime performance by Usher.
Yeah. For the culture, we really needed that. You know?
For the culture. Well, may the best Broham team win. Thank you, guys. Have a great week. We appreciate it. We're going to close out with our jewel for the day. And it is being responsible, is holding yourself accountable for your actions. So let that be a lesson to you, Mr. Purdy and Mr. Mahomes Jr. Being responsible is holding yourself accountable for your actions. Have a great week, guys, and be careful. And we'll see you all soon. Aloha. Happy birthday, Barbara Ferguson.
Happy birthday.